Welcome to the Astute Prosperity Podcast with your host, John Way. Join us as we interview successful business owners and professionals, uncovering the strategies that fuel their personal, professional, and financial success. Discover what it takes to thrive.
All right. Welcome to Astute Prosperity Podcast with John. What we have today is Mr. Ray Tran, a fellow friend, fellow colleague, and we've met through a common organization that we were both part of, and we're here to learn about Ray's story and his story not only in real estate but in life. So, with that said, welcome, Ray.
Thank you. Excited to be here. Excited to share and learn from you, or share with any knowledge I can with everyone else.
Yeah, looking forward to hopefully what we covered today from your story and where you come from and where you are now. The audience can learn a thing or two for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. With that said, for the podcast is concerned, we love to go with the flow. So, we'd love to learn more about your story. Not necessarily just the real estate side of things, but your story of how you how you came about to doing what you do now, and also how you got into real estate and where you are now. Kind of like a long question, but
Sure.
you can kind of take it from there.
So I come from a first generation immigrant family. My parents were born in Vietnam and immigrated here in 1980. Typical story. If we go back, my parents escaped from Vietnam. And the first time they came, they were actually caught. They were caught by the authorities. And my dad lied to the authorities that he kind of brought my mom and her sister along, didn't really know what was going on. And for that, he was sentenced to 18 months in jail.
Oh, wow.
And during those 18 months, my mom told me that she had to travel 2 hours each way just to see my dad once a month. So the second time they escaped, they were successful. They got on a boat. The boat eventually got them to a refugee camp in Indonesia. My mom told me how 7 days on the boat, barely any food, barely water, no bathrooms, pretty much the worst week of her life. But what kept them strong was the fact that they wanted to get to America to provide their future children a better life. So they eventually made it to New York City, and they live with my aunt, 15, 20 people in one house, bundled up. No money, no education, just with hustle, just wanted to do better for their future children. So eventually they made enough money to buy a house. And I have a younger sister that's 3 years older than me. And my whole life, my parents worked a lot, specifically my dad. My grandparents raised us. And I remember growing up, I wanted to do something with money. I wanted to be in finance. And my earliest memory of that was we used to get the New York Times delivered to our doorstep. And, back then they used to deliver newspapers. People actually subscribed to that.
Yeah.
So we would go straight to the finance section. And my dad would tell me the stocks that he bought, and he would show me, this is how much he made, this is how much he lost. And I didn't know that much, but I knew that when stocks went up, my dad was happy. Stocks went down, he was mad. So it was just really natural for me to major in finance economics. I went to school in Binghamton, New York, upstate New York, and I was able to secure a job before I graduated. My dad was one of those people that loved to brag, specifically about his kids, whether it be Taekwondo tournament, ballet recital, getting good grades, eating 3 bowls of rice, whatever it was, he loved to brag to his family and friends. So when I was able to secure that full-time job, I was more excited for my dad. I couldn't wait to tell him. So I remember the conversation, called my dad, hey dad, remember that interview I did at Ernst & Young? I got the job. He was like,
Nice.
Whoa, okay. How much are you getting paid? All right, so they give me, this is 2007. They give me $58,000 with a $4,000 sign-on bonus. And I was like, whoa. And I could just tell by the joy how proud he was in that moment. Because like I said, just what they went through to get here, and
Yeah.
just like a very big moment in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And so that my dad actually worked in Times Square as well at the Marriott Marquis Hotel. So
Oh
my
wow.
office for Ernst & Young was also there.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought I was set. My life
Yeah.
was that's what I was gonna do the rest of my life. So I
Yeah.
got a corporate job. But then the first year I knew it wasn't for me. I found
Uh,
myself wanting to call in sick, working weekends, working past midnight. Couldn't see myself doing for 40 years. And I didn't know what to do, so I just kept at it. And I remember
uh,
New Year's Eve 2010, I ran into a college friend. His name was
uh,
Wilbur. Wilbur was a teacher. He was happy. He made enough money to buy a place in Manhattan. And most importantly, he was happy. I thought, I want to be happy. So I never considered becoming a teacher because I remember how my teachers dressed, what cars they drove. They didn't make any money. And I wanted to be able to make a lot of money in my life. So I never considered it. But at that point, I wasn't happy. And I remember in high school, I used to volunteer, do tutoring, homework help. I enjoyed it. So I was like, oh, why don't I go for this? Where I actually have a platform to make a difference in people's lives. And whatever pay cut I take, I'll make it up for it. I've always been a hustler, reselling sneakers, iPhones, Nintendo Wii's, whatever it is. I always
Yeah.
found ways to make more money.
Yeah.
So I quit my job in May of 2010
Wow.
and took a 3.5 week trip to Asia. I went to Hong Kong, Macau, Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, and Australia.
Uh-huh.
I came back ready to go, ready to start grad school and become a teacher.
Uh-huh.
I remember one day, parents knocked on my bedroom door and asked me to come outside. So it was my sister, myself, my mom, and dad sitting at a dining room table with no food. And it was really weird because we never sit there unless we're eating.
Uh-huh.
I had this weird feeling. My sister looked very confused. And my dad broke the news that he was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. He was given 6 months to live.
Oh my God.
That moment, I was really confused. I was like, what do you mean lung cancer? You don't even smoke. You're telling me a doctor told you have 6 months to live? Like, you were fine. And that really made me question everything growing up. We were taught this American dream to do well in school, graduate college, get married, have kids, buy a house, 30-year mortgage, and retire in your 60s. My dad never got to his 60s. He never got to see his kids get married, never got to see grandchildren, never got to have grandchildren. So how is that fair? So he passed away in January 2013. And I just went down a rabbit hole. How can I do something different? I can't work to my 60s. I don't know if tomorrow's never promised.
Yeah.
So I read books, listened to podcasts, spoke to successful people, and I realized that most people, these wealthy people, invest in two different things: the stock market and real estate. So I decided to go into that. So I started with the stock market. My job as a teacher, I teach middle school kids, 6th, 7th, 8th graders about financial literacy, investing, entrepreneurship. And I love my job. That gave me a platform to teach young minds about the stock market, about building businesses and how to invest in assets, how real estate's the way to go. And it wasn't until 2022 when I really got into real estate. At that point, I had a college friend that was investing. And I was like, all right, let me learn about it. Introduce me to some people. Because I always was interested, but I just didn't know how to do it. I mean, at that point, I had bought 2 properties in New York City. I bought an apartment and a condo. The apartment I rented out after I got the condo. But, I didn't know how to do it outside of New York. So he introduced me to some people. I did 2 JVs. I partnered with a flipping company. I made about $30,000 from it. And I basically rolled that into my first out-of-state purchase, which was a 3-bed, 1-bath house in Ohio for $106,000. That was eye-opening. The fact that I could buy a house for $100,000, someone that was born and raised in New York City, we can't get a piece of the sidewalk for that amount.
Yeah.
So it was like, this is crazy. And I like to say, if I knew what I know now, I would never have bought it. But if I never bought it, I wouldn't be where I am today.
Right.
Because the company that sold to me was a turnkey company. The turnkey company gave me this nice spreadsheet to show me all these numbers, all this cash flow. But I realized that they didn't put 3 things in there: vacancy, capital expenditures, and maintenance. So knowing what I know now, I would have known that it wasn't a cash flowing deal. But if I never
Yeah.
bought it, I would never have started.
Correct.
So at that point, I was like, all right, I'm gonna go all into real estate. But in real estate, there's three different types of capital. There's time, knowledge, and money. I had time, I had money, but I didn't have the knowledge. So I went to seek that knowledge.
Right.
I found coaching community, Zen Coaching University, that provide mentoring and coaching, one-on-one coaching, curriculum A to Z. And I joined in December of 2022. In 2023, I purchased 4 properties in Philly using the BRRRR method. I invested as a limited partner in a 150 unit apartment complex, which you're the operator on in Texas.
Yeah.
And I partnered in a marina in New York City where we built 4 houseboats to rent out.
Nice.
And
Wow.
end of that year, I was going to do another year of the coaching program. And that was when my mentor asked, hey, Ray, do you want to become a coach? I considered it because I was expecting my first child in December.
Right.
And I decided to do it because I felt there was a lot of synergy between what I already do. I post social media content, and I started because so many parents came up to me saying, Mr. Tran, I can't believe you're teaching this. You teach the stock market. You teach about building business. I wish I had this in school. So I thought, why would I limit what I talk about, what I teach to just a classroom? Why not just make it public, put it on social media and see where it goes?
Yeah.
I started my own personal brand, RT Invest, where I do wealth coaching for people. So I just felt like it was just in line what I do. So I decided to become a coach. And that year was 2024 was when I got my first opportunity to become a co-GP, co-general partner in a 355 unit in Tennessee.
Nice.
And that's blossom. I've been doing flips. I have 4 flips in progress right now in Pennsylvania.
Wow.
And we're actually in contract for a 375 unit in Tennessee as we speak.
Nice. That's awesome. Wow. Wow. That's a great story, and that's a long, like, you came along. I mean, not only your family came a long way. That's impressive. Wait, what? So a couple of things I wanted to pick out of there that to kind of ask, kind of dive a little bit deeper. So like when you first got into real estate, like the condo and then the apartment, right? Or that money you kind of earned from prior positions, right?
So my dad passed away in 2013, and I bought my first co-op apartment building in 2014. Full transparency, before my dad was diagnosed, we were looking at buying multifamily house for me to live in and house hack before. He got sick. We had other priorities in life. So when he passed away, I remember he told me never to rent.
Yeah.
I actually feel completely different about renting now, but he told me to never rent, and he wanted me to buy a property. So it was very important to me to buy my first property. And full transparency, I was gifted $100,000 for a down payment from my mom as part of the money from my dad's passing.
Yeah.
And that was actually really tough financially because I went from not paying rent to paying for everything. And if I look at the numbers now, it's nothing crazy, but it's just a very big adjustment for me to do that.
Yeah.
And then in 2021, upgrade to a condo because my then wife wanted to live in a different neighborhood. And that's when I rented out the first apartment for break even to one of my closest friends. That was my first time being a landlord.
Yeah. And that sort of began your real estate journey, right?
Correct.
And so, and also another point of the question is like, when you went to the year in I think it was 2022 or 2020, in between the year that you basically went into coaching with Zen Coast and that year that you acquired 4 properties, right? Those were what was in your mind, and also what drove you to get the 4 BRRRRs like in 1 year? Because that's a pretty sizable achievement,
Yeah, I mean, BRRRR is a very sexy term. uh, the idea of recycling your money is really
Yeah.
appealing.
Yeah.
So I was like, I was willing to buy a rundown property and just fix it. I wanted the worst property out there because I
Yeah.
knew how much equity I could get, forced
Yeah.
appreciation from doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I always operate in a sense where I would rather do the hardest thing first so everything else
Mhm.
comes easier. That's
Mhm.
actually one of the reasons why I taught middle school instead of high school, elementary. People told
Mhm.
me middle school is the toughest age. So I decided to do it because other things will become easier for me.
Yeah.
So I'm very big on experience and the
Uh-huh.
lessons that come with it.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to pay for those lessons, whether it be time wise or financially, to
Uh-huh.
learn.
Uh-huh.
And I feel like every single mistake is just another opportunity, just another learning opportunity to go from. So
Right. Right.
for me, I had capital. I also
Uh-huh.
accessed my HELOC
Mhm.
at the
Yeah.
time. I've accessed my security backs line of credit, my SB lock, and
Yeah.
very, very big on leveraging
Uh-huh.
everything that I can possibly do.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. Wow. That's great. So where you are today, now that you've gotten become a GP of a deal and also become, a couple of syndications and of multifamily, like where and also, potential, like you got four new flips that you're doing, right? Like that you're and the coast there. So where do you like foresee yourself going from this point going forward? Um, and do you like, people talk about the financial freedom number or the financial independence number. Like, are you there already, or are you moving? Like, when do you foresee yourself getting there?
So right now, my wife is a stay-at-home mom. So we
Hmm.
have the financial freedom for her to not work and to
That's
work
awesome.
to be able
Yeah.
to function as a single income household.
Yes.
Partially because she wants to stay home with our baby, and
Hmm.
I think not, you know, some women are not willing to do it and some women are. And if my
Hmm.
wife wants to do and prefers to do it,
Hmm.
I feel like it's my job to make that possible.
Yeah.
So we actually have a discussion about our finances. I
Hmm.
finally convinced her to track all our expenses end of last year. So we know
Hmm.
exactly how much we spend, our income
Uh-huh.
expenses. So
Hmm.
we actually can't get under $10,000 a month,
Hmm.
everything included.
Yeah.
We've tried, and I think I've pretty much accepted that's around the number we're going to average.
Yes.
So I told her that if we could spend $5,000 a month, I never have to work either. She was like, that's impossible in New York City. So I still work. I
Yeah.
love my job as
Yeah.
a teacher. So I wouldn't quit it. Like there'd have to be a pretty big circumstance for me to want to quit my job.
Sure.
At the same time, I'm always looking to invest.
Uh-huh.
So I leverage my line of credit for a lot of things.
Uh-huh.
At the end of every month, I'm at to move a lot of money around to make my mortgages for all my property. And I'm
Yeah.
comfortable doing that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't suggest most people doing it, but there's a
Yeah.
level of comfort for me.
Yeah.
Um, I get certain cash flow from properties, but the biggest thing for me is the equity build,
Yeah.
um, the tax benefits, us being able to pay zero in taxes based on my real estate professional status.
Right.
And I just want to keep growing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially being someone that is a coach, being someone that is building a personal brand, speaking at events, hosting events. I just want to be able to give knowledge to people. I
Hmm.
really enjoy the journey of helping and coaching people get to their goals. So I honestly don't even focus on my own personal goals.
Hmm.
For the first time, end of last year, I wrote down about 10 goals for 2025. And I
Hmm.
only did that because people kept asking me, and I was tired of saying, I don't write it down. So I
Uh-huh.
decided I'm going to write it down. So
Yeah.
that's something for me to reflect on moving
Uh-huh.
forward.
That's awesome. So what's the top one goal for out of that 2025 goal list?
So in no particular order, some of the ones that jumped in mind is one of them is to do at least 10 flips this
Oh,
year.
wow.
Another
Wow.
one is to have at least one date night a month with my wife, which we've
Okay.
actually so far, went past that number.
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
getting to and maintaining 160 pounds, which is actually what I'm at right now.
That's awesome.
Um,
Yeah.
it's a mindset, physical thing. And
Yeah.
another one is to help my students close at least 10 properties this year.
That's awesome. And how many students you have currently?
So I have about 10 to 15 students, clients
Students
that I
are
currently work with. Yeah.
got it. Wow. So that's a high percentage. That's awesome. Like
Yeah.
that's
I
really
had to
awesome.
set some goals, see if I could hit them, right?
That's right. That's right. Wow. 10 flips also. I mean, that's tough to do, but like you said, you don't set goals, you don't achieve them. That's
Yes,
awesome, dude.
sir.
Um, no, and so with that said, thank you for sharing all of that. That's a phenomenal story, and also like just hearing like the your growth in the real estate world, like just especially in the last 3 years. It's it's really, I mean, it's crazy fast.
I
Um,
appreciate it.
yeah, man. So like if someone were to like, a newbie from in the real estate business, they don't know what they want to get into, they're just starting out in their career, like in their, whether it's investment time frame in the real estate world or investing career in the real estate world, like what would you recommend? What would be one recommendation you would have for them?
I actually had a couple calls today with people that asked me for this type of advice.
Oh, cool.
And I always tell them to focus on two things: education and networking.
Mm,
Educate yourself on what's out there. Um, Read books, listen to podcasts. Most people commute to work, whether it's in the car or on a train, whatever it is. You have X amount of time every day.
mhm,
Don't aimlessly scroll on social media. Make it useful. Listen to
mhm,
podcasts. There's a lot of podcasts, specifically bigger podcasts, that share a lot. Full
mhm,
transparency. They share their financials, all their numbers. Someone will resonate with you.
mhm,
And the other thing is to network, talk to people, go to events. For me, I figured out that I want to do burrs based off of conversation I had with other people. I would say, hey, I'm new to the community. I would love to hear what you're investing in, where you're investing, why you're investing in there, and
mhm,
see who resonates with me. So I had a conversation with someone named Rob, and he said he did burrs because he doesn't care about cash flow. He wants to build equity. I was like,
mhm,
that's me. I
mhm,
don't need cash flow. I'm not trying to quit my job. I don't want to replace my paycheck. So why don't we just focus on equity build? And the forced appreciation you could get from doing a renovation is major,
mhm,
major wealth building. And if you can cash out, refi all your money, pull it all out, it's like you just got a
mhm.
free property and just go do it again.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's awesome. Wow. And you're at the same time you're building legacy too, right? For for
Correct.
Yeah, that's awesome. Um, Great advice. Thank you. So, with that said, we always sort of end the show with, what is one book that you would want to share with the audience, and one book that you recommend in the real estate world.
Yeah. I mean, I think almost everyone has read this book, uh, Rich Dad Poor Dad
Oh
by
yeah, for
Robert
sure.
Kiyosaki.
Yeah.
I I read this book. I think I was recommended to read this book somewhere around COVID by my wealth advisor.
Huh.
And ever since I read that book, it opened my eyes to how people value and think about money, what people view as rich and wealthy. And everyone that talks to me says, hey, what should I do? Like, I want to learn. I say, all right, read this book.
Mhm,
So I give this book out in my school to students, former students that come visit me, colleagues, and I say, here's the book. If you
mhm,
could finish it in a week, we could have a conversation. And I've had people give it back to me within a week and say they read it, and then they don't ask me questions. So they probably didn't read it. And then I have people that give me a book go like, I'll give you a story. So there's a former student that now works at the school. And he said, it's crazy because everything this book is saying to not to do, everyone around me is doing it. And he made the example that his mom just bought a Mercedes. And he was like, Mom, can you afford it? She's like, I have the money. And he was like, but what if it breaks down? You don't have money to fix it. She's like, oh, don't worry about it. It's not going to break down. So he just realizing that people cared about their looks. People cared about spending money on liabilities. They don't understand what's a liability, what's an asset. They don't understand that short-term sacrifices give you long-term gains. And so I knew he read the book if he's able to share that type of story. So time is valuable, and I don't like to give my time to everyone, but I'm willing to give my time to people that are willing to invest in themselves and actually put in the work. So that's just my initial test. Here's the book, read it. And if they read it, all right, let's talk.
That's awesome. Dude, what you're doing, like, both professionally and also, like, what you're doing for your business and the coaching side of things, you're great, doing a great deed for the society and doing a great deed for, like, bringing up the next generation, like, making sure, because they don't teach that stuff in school. So, what you're doing is,
I do.
It's totally, I know you do, but others don't, right? So, but that's commendable, man. Really, really, like, it's awesome what you're doing. With that said, like, how do audiences like, if they wanted to get a hold of you, or if you're open to people connecting with you, like, how do people do it?
Absolutely. Yeah. On pretty much all the social media channels, under rt.invest with an S at the end. Instagram, Facebook, X, Threads, TikTok. I'm on all of that. And, I post consistent content. I post at least 5 times a week.
Nice.
And I like to think I post digestible things, because there's a lot of people out there that are selling things and they're saying, oh, you can make X amount of money. It's easy. I'm real. I say it's not easy. I share my losses and my takeaways so that you're able to avoid those things. So I'm open to connecting with anyone. I have my website, rtinvest.com. You could learn more about me, and you could schedule a call with me for a free consultation. I would love to hear everyone's story, hear what their goals are, and see if I can help.
That's awesome, man. Awesome. RT Invest.
Yes, sir.
So thank you, Ray. I appreciate your time today. It's towards the tail end of our show, but thank you so much for all your sharing and your story, your learnings, and your journey. I personally took away a lot just chatting today. So I really appreciate it, and the best of luck to you. I'm sure you'll hit that all the 10 goals that you put on your jotted down goal sheet.
Yeah. Thank you, John. I appreciate giving me a platform to share my story, to share any insight, any knowledge that I have. So I feel like people that have experienced things, good and bad, it's kind of like up to us to share our story. I mean, I think back to my dad. My dad was so giving.
Yeah.
Giving in every aspect. And I think about a lot in what I do. And I know he's watching, he's proud of me, and I'm hoping that I can set an example for my son as well.
That's awesome, man. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you for your time, and we'll chat in the very near future.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Ray.
Thank you.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Astute Prosperity Podcast. Want to be featured on the show? Head over to astuteprosperitypodcast.com/guest and apply to share your success story with our listeners.